My deepest apologies for our delay. It couldn't be avoided, but we really are sorry. Thank you for your patience.
We understand, it's not a problem. Okay, we're live. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Superior Court update for this Thursday, November 4th, 2021. It's 1:20 p.m., getting a little bit late start. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. Commissioner Carolina Mejia is present through Zoom. And we have our presiding judge, Superior Court, Judge Wilson, and Misty Robeson, our new Superior Court Administrator. For our monthly check-in, Commissioner Edwards is excused today, as is the County Manager, Ramiro Chavez. So Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell is with us. And we are live streamed on the YouTube channel, and we have an open forum. No specific items are on the agenda, but just to kind of hear what's going on in Superior Court, and the board can ask any questions or provide information that you might like to know about what we're up to. So I'll just start with Judge Wilson, I guess.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Commissioner Menzer and Commissioner Mejia and Robin. Really glad to be here again. My apologies for our delay. We had an urgent matter, but we're here and we're very excited to be here. So I wanted to lead off by, I think some of you participated in our swearing in ceremony for our ninth judge, Judge Indu Thomas, on Monday. What an absolute wonderful event. I didn't anticipate in advance how emotional I would feel about the event. And of course, when former Commissioner, now Judge Thomas, gave her remarks, I was close to tears. She was so fabulous. I was talking with somebody yesterday, and we all strive to want to be back in person full time for that human connection. We want to carry forward new things we've learned when we've done business remotely for circumstances where you can increase and enhance access. We were able to have some people in the courtroom based upon our public health recommendations, so that was really nice. Commissioner Thomas, now Judge Thomas, had close family members and close friends and some retired judicial officers that were very critical in her life. And the sitting judges. And so it was fabulous that we were able to have people in person. But more than that, I think you all knew that we had 191 at the peak Zoom participants, including people from across the country and across the world. And it was just amazing to think about our hybrid presentation where we had so many people being able to share in that wonderful occasion. So I wanted to highlight that, and then I thought I would launch into what we're expecting over the next few months with our new judicial officer transitions. So I'll jump into that. As you know, we're anxiously awaiting for the governor's office to make an announcement appointing the judge that will replace Judge Price. Judge Price left us in the end of September. So even though Judge Thomas is our ninth judge, she's really presently the eighth judge here because we don't have the position 4 filled yet. The governor's office tells us it could be this week, today or tomorrow. So we might get that announcement. And we're hopeful that whoever is the successful appointee will be able to start in early December. And so our plan is that both our new judges, Judge Thomas and Judge to be named soon, will spend their first 2 months doing part-time in the courtroom judge work and part-time training and observations. That's what we've been doing with Judge Thomas this week. Of course, each judge's training plan is developed based upon their experience. And Judge Thomas has years of experience as a judicial officer. And we don't know about the next person's expertise and background. But in any case, our goal is that by February 1, after both new judges have gone to State Judicial College, that we will have them assigned to full-time court work. So that's our goal, and various folks who are part of our justice system are aware of that, and we're planning for that. A little bit more on what that looks like, because I know you're anxious for how are we deploying the ninth judge new resource. Our goal is our plan is to have 2 judges full-time hear criminal pretrial calendars here at main campus. And that's Judge Skinder, who also hears the drug court, and Judge Emma Millo. That's starting February 1. And then we'll have 5 judges at the main campus hearing trials. We want to maximize the number of jury trials depending on our space abilities, and where we don't have the space to spread out jury trials, those judges will be assigned bench trials. And that could include family law bench trials to the extent that we have that capacity. So that's our plan effective February 1. We also will be, so our assignment for Judge Emma Miller will be Monday through Thursday criminal calendars, and Friday she'll be an additional resource for family and juvenile court, so that the Chief Judge Schaller can assign family law trials on Fridays to Judge Emma Miller, so that we will have that relief for our backlog. We also, of course, have a new court commissioner filling in behind Judge Thomas. That's Paul Strophe, and he's scheduled to start December 1. So we got a lot of change, and we're working really hard on transitioning and training. But we're really glad that things are moving forward, and hopefully we'll be settled in a couple months, like on those things. So Misty, do you have anything to add on that topic? And then if the commissioners have any questions about what I just described, I'll stop and pause.
You're muted, Misty.
Of course I am. The only thing is just a recognition that a lot happening right now, onboarding 2 new judges. We have a great addition with Judge Thomas. She is an experienced judicial officer, and we're excited to hear about the next appointment.
Do any of you have questions about what I've said already? I do have other topics I'm expecting you want to hear about, including the status of our jury trials and our COVID funding discussion in terms of approaching the backlog. But I thought I'd stop and pause and see if you have any questions about judicial officer onboarding and deployment.
I do not have any questions about that. You made, I do have a question, but it touches on something you alluded to, but I'll let you keep going. And if you don't cover it, I'll ask you when you're done. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Commissioner Mejia, anything about what I've said already?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So I know a number of questions have been asked about our status of conducting jury trials. And we continue to schedule each week 2 jury trials using courtroom 102 and Chandler Court. This week, we started 2 jury trials. One of them is a 1-week trial, and we expect it will go to the jury today or tomorrow. And the other is probably a 3-week trial, so it will continue into the next 2 weeks, and that's being conducted at Chandler Court. There are some weeks where we think on Friday that we have 10 cases assigned out, and we have them prioritized, and then between Friday and Monday, we have either settlements or requests for continuances. We're working on managing that process so that we can make sure where there is space and capacity to hear those cases that we are able to handle that and get cases out. We are really, as I said, back to my February of 2022 goal. We're hoping that our public health input allows us to expand the courtrooms we can use for jury trials next year. We talk to the public health folks all the time. We heard today that there's a little bit of an uptick, but a longer term slow downward trend. And so we're hoping that downward trend gets us to the point where we can space people out 3 feet rather than 6 feet in the new year. When we're allowed to do that, we obviously have more flexibility with, even if we start jury selection in a large courtroom, we can move the case into one of the other courtrooms after we've selected a jury if we can go to 3 feet. We're also exploring with district court the ability to use the district court, Chandler Court space if they don't use it for a trial. So we're trying to develop the path for doing that so that we use that space. Misty, anything to add on the status of jury trials?
I have a preliminary request from district court that they may be looking to add additional trial days, possibly 2 trials per week. And so that's also a request that we need to explore and work out with them as we provide jury administration to them. So we look at the space, what do we have in terms of jury administration and then the space we have available. Always keeping a constant eye on our public health needs. But both courts are trying to ramp up as much as possible.
Any questions on that topic?
You guys kind of covered it at a higher level. I just wanted to make certain that District Court and Superior Court were working well in order to maximize the use of the courtrooms at Chandler. I know District Court tends to have fewer trials and Superior Court tends to have greater needs, but we're being asked now to consider potentially more leased space, and I can't get my head there until I've been assured that we're maximizing the utility of the space we have. I've never been a huge fan of the siloed nature of Superior and District Court, and in this context, you guys just have to work together as well as possible to make sure we're maximizing trial utility of the courtrooms we've already invested in.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And when I say preliminary, the request has come, or that they would like to have 2 jury trials per week, and that's a question for them, and their calendaring. However, I absolutely agree with you, and it's something that we will sit down, I believe, next week and have a conversation about what that may look like at partnering. So we are maximizing that space and our resources.
Perfect, thank you.
And I think that Commissioner Menzer, on that point, the specific focus that I'm hoping one of the focuses can be looking at the frequency that the district court cases go off, and then the space becomes available late, but still available. And if that happens, can we slide in our felony cases to that courtroom? And what would that look like? Because obviously we need the information before we bump that case to a later time. And so figuring out the district court's timing for knowing their case is going away. And so I've asked Misty to talk with Frankie about that.
Good, sounds like the right approach, thank you.
Any other questions before I hit on another topic?
Nope, think you're good to go.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about ARPA funding or the COVID backlog and the conversations we've been having. The commission acted a few weeks ago, and then Romero asked the justice stakeholders to get together for some meetings so that we could be ready to talk to, I think we have a meeting with Romero the 1st or 2nd of December. We had a really good meeting yesterday with the prosecutor's office, OPD, or public defense, Thurston County Public Defense, sorry, not OPD, Thurston County Public Defense, pretrial services, and the clerk's office and district court. And, the way I would describe it is, from the court's perspective, we have backlogs in our various trial lines: criminal, jury, civil, jury, and bench, and family law. And we have plans to address our family law and our civil bench, and then our jury trials, both criminal and civil. Those, of course, have that space challenge because of pandemic protocols. But we're working, obviously, on how to approach that. But what we talked about with the criminal stakeholders are the 2 categories of backlogs. And the way I think about it is the prosecutor's office told the commission a few weeks back that they have a stack of referrals from law enforcement for felony charges that haven't been reviewed and haven't been charged. And they're hopeful that with some new DPA resources, they'll be able to start charging those. They're hopeful that for many of them, they'll be able to do what they talk about as early resolution, so that they don't come in and go through the full cycle. So we spent some time talking with the prosecutor's office about what that would look like, how they would propose to handle it. And then, of course, it implicates public defender resources, if there are actual filings, then it's court resources and clerk's office filings. If they're pre-charged resolutions, so really early resolutions, then it doesn't hit the court if the court or the clerk. So they're looking at both pre-charge and early resolution after charge. And I think the next step is that the prosecutors and the public defenders are going to articulate for the other of us participating what that looks like in terms of their vision for pace and the path it follows. I told the other stakeholders that depending on the pace, if it's about 12 a week, we have some capacity at the end of our arraignment calendar to address early resolutions. If it looks like more than that, then we need to figure out where we would put it and how we would staff it. So those are our initial discussions. We will be in some additional meetings and be ready to talk with Romero again. I think it's December 1st or December 2nd as we look at COVID funding. I didn't mention other needs, but we will be meeting with the clerk's office to talk about our other non-felony criminal needs, about what our ideas are for that, including hiring pro tems in the family court area to handle settlement conferences that currently are handled by the judges, so that the judges have more trial time, so that the judges can move through that backlog. So those are concepts. Of course, with the ARPA funding, we're also hopeful that we could pursue the 5th courtroom at FJC because we have 5 judicial officers there. Misty, anything to add to the backlog discussion?
Nothing.
Any questions?
No. If Commissioner Edwards were here, he would be asking you to get Judge Harry Stone out of retirement and start a night court. But I have a question about this is probably a question for the prosecutor's office, but these backlog of cases, I've been a little bit confused as to why they would be unreviewed. I mean, back during COVID, it seemed like they would have had capacity to kind of review them and get them ready for potential filing. Why are they sitting on desks unreviewed? I don't understand the capacity problem there.
Well, Commissioner Menzer, I think you're correct that the better entity to answer is the prosecutor's office. I will say from where we sit, we do see some cases that are getting charged that are from the year 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So they are reviewing some. What they tell us is that their current staff are fully assigned to the pending cases, and that they don't think their current staff have the capacity to review. What I heard Christy say yesterday is that there's 2,000 in the backlog, and they would expect after reviewing those, they might end up pursuing 1,000. That was the rough number that she provided. So I think better to direct to them. I would say we do see cases that they start on the arraignment calendar with the prosecutor summoning in people for charges, and we see charges based upon allegations and referrals from the calendar year 2020. And so they are obviously getting through. My impression from the prosecutor's offices is that they've obviously prioritized the higher level felonies to act on immediately and waited to look at the lower level felony referrals.
Anybody? Robin? Commissioner? Okay, we're good on that topic.
The last topic that I have on my list to give you an update on is the Blake cases. And I'm hoping next time I'll have some total numbers to put Blake in perspective. I haven't figured out how to process and digest the data. AOC sent out a link to statewide and county specific data that I just haven't figured out how to understand it and process it. But Misty loves data, so I hope to have that for you in December. What I will say is that back in September, we replaced a drug court afternoon session with a resentencing calendar. And Judge Skinder usually hears that resentencing calendar. We have, what happens on that resentencing calendar is that we have Zoom participation from defendants who are held in DOC custody. And we work with the facilities to have the person participate via Zoom. And at that point, they've already been assigned counsel, and they file briefs and often reach agreement, but they're presenting what is the change of sentence necessary because of the Blake decision. We are routinely having that calendar at full capacity, and Judge Skinder's been running a tight ship and saying we're not going to have continuances unless it's absolutely necessary. We got good feedback from DOC, and that DOC appreciates that Thurston County resolves those cases when they're set, because they're seeing that it's challenging and it's effort to get their inmates scheduled to be in a place where they can do Zoom. And if it gets continued 3 times, that's frustrating to them. But they have expressed their appreciation for Thurston County, and I think it largely goes to Judge Skinder for making sure that most of those cases go unless there's a really good reason for a delay. And both teams, the prosecutors and the public defenders, are working really hard. Some of the cases are very complex because it relates to criminal history from many different cases where there is a drug possession conviction, and redoing everything without those convictions. In addition to those contested cases that are scheduled by motion, we're processing, I think it's around 75 agreed motions for resentencing decisions a week. That's a good amount of work. And I know that several of our staff people are making sure that we're tracking that. So again, we'll have numbers on that, but it's agreed. So that means they don't need to schedule a hearing, but the court still has to review and determine that it's legally appropriate to resentence and address removing the drug possession convictions and addressing what's left. So we feel like we're in a steady state where we're receiving about 75 agreed a week and moving them and making decisions. And then we're hearing, it's usually 6 to 8 on the contested. We also have indicated when there's need for additional motions on resentencings for Blake that they can be scheduled where there's capacity on some of our change of plea calendars. So a couple times a week, there's a Blake case on a COPA's calendar. Misty, anything on that?
Mr. Mejia? I have a question on Blake. So if obviously anybody that's serving time or even on probation would have a right to have that resent. Are you seeing, is there any right to for people that are not serving any sentence, like it's done and gone, maybe they want to correct their criminal history, or I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any point in redoing the sentence, but it's already been served. But I'm just wondering, what status are people like that in vis-a-vis Blake?
Great, Pat. Great question. And yes, they need their cases can, and I would want them addressed if I were them. And there is a path, but it's a vacation of a conviction. Okay. If there are specific convictions that include possession. So we see those on our motions calendar, not the resentencing, but on the miscellaneous motion calendar. And there are lawyers who are available who are helping individuals with old convictions work through on those. And often once they work it through, they schedule it on our motions calendar and give it to the assigned deputy prosecutor, and they end up reaching a proposed agreement on, many of them are easy. You vacate a conviction that no longer should be on the books.
Is that a necessary step? Like, we hear a lot about the LFOs, right? And refunding it. Like, let's say I had a drug conviction from 1980 and I want my LFOs back. Maybe I don't even care about my criminal history because I'm retired and I'm a grandpa now or something. Like, can I just go back and get my LFOs back? Or do I have to go through this process of actually having the conviction vacated, and then part of that process becomes the LFO reimbursement? Or is there 2 tracks there that the person can choose how much relief they want?
So I am going to get the answer for you. Misty and I will work to get that answer to you. I think the answer, Commissioner, is that they can go independently, but I don't I receive what's presented when I'm on that calendar, and I've seen both. But I need to make sure I understand the process before it gets to the court to give you a clear answer. So Misty and I'll mark it down and get you an answer there.
A judge does have to sign the order, though, to refund LFOs, is that correct? Okay, so so either way, it's coming through the Superior Court judiciary, and so you guys could track like as we go month by month, you guys would be able to tell us, we have refunded, $13,000 worth of LFOs, or, $50,000 or whatever. Is that something that you guys are kind of compiling on a spreadsheet somewhere, or?
Yes,
Yes, Robin says yes.
yes, because we will need that information to turn into AOC to get reimbursed.
Yeah,
Now that we have a signed contract with the AOC, we're right on the verge of sending out an email to the courts, the prosecutor, public defense, pretrial services, the clerk, telling them now's the time to turn in your data so that we can process the first invoice to AOC. So that'll be coming right up, and we have to tell them, here's the list of all the cases we worked on, here's the amount of money we've paid out, here's the time that it's taken.
and Robin's thinking about making sure we get reimbursed for what we do pay out, and I'm thinking about the projection of the budget, because we've been told by the clerk, set aside this huge amount of money because this could all be, theoretically, all these cases could come back, and I'd like to track the reality of that, because my suspicion is it'll be a lot less than the theoretical amount, and then that'll affect budget decisions that the board will have to make. Okay, thank you.
So that ends the topics I wanted to update on, but I'm obviously happy to address any other topics that you were thinking I would cover that I didn't cover, or anything else that you think that Misty or I could address for you.
Commissioner Mejia looks happy. I was really impressed by the number of judges that were present at Judge Thomas's swearing in. I mean, I don't remember that many judicial officers being present at other swearings-ins that I've attended, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, you covered pretty much everything that I had. Robin, did you have anything?
No, nothing from me.
And I know Judge Wilson, you and I had a meeting that got postponed, and it's on this afternoon, and we can cancel that if you feel like, unless there's something you want to address to me directly at that time.
Misty and I were planning to meet with you. Maybe it'll be quick. If
Perfect.
you're still available.
Yep, all right, we'll see you then.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess we're adjourned then, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
Again,
much.
apologies for being late. Thank you so much for your patience.
No problem, thank you.